11:59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans. Another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour. So let's see if anybody shows up tonight. That was actually lyrics with one minor change from a song. From a movie? No, it's really just a song. They made a movie about the album, but thanks. So yeah, we go live every evening, every weeknight, and we talk about guns, and we don't follow whatever the media is supposed to be, whatever the agenda is we're supposed to talk about. We get mad about whatever, we just talk about guns. So if you're interested in doing that, then join in. And we've got the live conversation going, we've got the text conversation going, and that's it. So see who else shows up. It's a Friday. Fridays can sometimes be amazing. They can be some of the most epic conversations we have. They can also be dead, and I don't sit here trying to prove nothing. So if nobody shows up for a little while, then we'll jump out of here. Definitely have other things I could be doing, except for that one mosquito that just flew by me. Having pretty good weather here. So yeah, I've got plenty of projects to be working on. Might have gotten something in the mail today. Clear a lot of room for. So yeah, I think we're starting right on time. We'll see if anybody shows up, except for Chad saying nobody can hear me. We don't have anybody else out here, I don't think, so it might be one of them nights that we're just sitting here doing nothing. Creating the opportunity for conversation. I guess I go over to guncalendars.com, which is one of our sites, and where we try to archive daily gun history. And since today is the 11th, there's nothing on our calendar. Yesterday was a cool day because it was an anniversary of the Colorado voters removing people from office who voted for gun restrictions. I didn't know they had universal background checks in California and Colorado. That's annoying. Otherwise, we got Richard Gatling being born tomorrow, and the guy that made the STG-44 dies tomorrow. It's going to make a lot of people's teeth ache. So yeah, I guess we'll see how the show goes. I guess I could be working on this project over here quietly by myself, not bothering anybody. I guess I have to leave a window open though, so I can see if anybody else shows up or something. So it should be better audio. There's fewer fans going. I only think I got 2 fans going in the whole house. All right, that's the first yawn. Like I say, I'm not here for my health. I don't really get paid to do this show, but do open up the room for opportunity here. Trying to look at 2 screens and pay attention to what's going on over here in a dead room. But gotta leave it open for a little while. It's kind of like fishing, I guess. Chad's saying hopes more people show up. Yeah, that'd be nice. Like I say, some Fridays are epic. Some Fridays we really have good conversations that get into it. People show up and join in, and it's what it's all about. Internet being real. And then other weeks, nobody shows up. Everybody's got real life stuff to do or other things to worry about. We'll see what happens. So I think I'm only really missing a couple of things on this, what I'm working on here. I don't know if I guess I should try to attempt to put all of them in here now that I'm to the point where I'm down to having most of them, I guess. Damn it. I shouldn't even be doing that. Wait a minute. What program am I in? Yeah, it shouldn't even be doing that. I did not like the way I opened up the screen today. those of us that have real monitors that are massive, that are the size of maybe 3 regular people's monitors, like those of us, we still have problems with these giant monitors. Like they're awesome, but they're not perfect. Like right now, I had to squish it down to only 3/4, 3 times the size of a regular people's monitor in order to see it on my screen here, just so that I can cram. Get over here. Bishop showing up. So if there's topics, we could chat about that. Otherwise, like I say, I got like 3 things that I was in the middle of doing. This is the best weather ever because you can start something in one place and then you can go, while it's churning or doing its thing, you can go somewhere else and get it going. With this chat, not so much, or with this situation, not so much, because kind of boring to just leave it running. Bring the front. How about if I actually click the right thing? But yeah, I actually had like 2 or 3 things going that I was kind of juggling. When it's not real hot, I can leave the embroidery machine going and leave sometimes. Go out of that room, which is awesome because then I can do other things. Right? And can't always do that when it's real hot. It doesn't deal with that. It needs to have somebody to look at it all the time and it shuts off and stuff. So anyway, I'm able to actually walk away from it every once in a while now. That's pretty nice. So that gives me a chance to do 2 things at the same time with that. And that's always fun. So I've got a bit of a project I'm working on there and working on one other screen that I'm not going to share tonight. But I could easily stay busy with this. This is something that has to be done. It's kind of boring, but it has to be done. But I could also easily ditch this and go back to doing something in real life. I'm not here to threaten every morning or every beginning of the show, but what the heck? It's the whole point of the show, is to have a conversation. So just keep spreading these things out. Moving these. Wonder if I should try putting them in the scale at the beginning. Actually be tough. It would be kind of tough. I don't think I will. Let's see what's next. This guy. I want to put both of them in here. See, if I try putting stuff in the scale and include every one, that becomes pretty difficult. It gets pretty quick. It gets pretty full pretty quick. Ugh. I think I do need to stack things on top of each other, though. All right, well, sorry, Chad. It doesn't look like anybody's showing up tonight. I do a show every night at midnight so that it's not hard to remember. A lot of people go to sleep. They don't want to talk about 2A or nothing. They listen to it the next day, I guess, and somebody else can have a conversation about 2A, and they'll just wake up and listen to it whenever they want. Other people, I don't know, probably yelling at the sky, yelling at whatever somebody else is telling them, get mad about, getting upset about what one person does or what happened over there. It's always fun. I just don't find the joy in it, so we're not going to do that over here. And that, yeah, I think we'll definitely get rid of it. I think most people are sick of it. I think there's certainly some people that dig it. They're loving it, but those aren't the people that are, paying bills and paying salaries and that kind of shit. Those are people that are not doing things like that, I suspect. I got to go to the post office today. That was pretty fun. John Crump owes me $4. Is he out there? He owes me $4. So how often do you get to go stand in line at the post office to pick up a thing that you owe $4 on? $4. It's like lunch. So anyway, I got to go to the post office today, see a bunch of people that love that whole environment, I think. I hear that. You can't really do it around here because the state says you have to everywhere. So all the people that, are now emboldened to yell at you feel justified and obligated. Some lady came into the post office, got into the, the line. And then she's like, oh, I forgot my mask. I'm like, I wasn't going to say nothing. And then she goes, oh, yeah, but I'm not letting me in here. All right, well, you're putting it on yourself then. Some other guy came in, didn't have a mask on. We really said anything. I don't even know if anybody looked at him. Came in there, did his thing. Mainly, I was mad because I got in the one line, and then there's this other line. And the one line is like, you want to buy a stamp? Go in this line. You need to pick up shit, go in this line. So I go in the line for picking up shit. And then, anyway, people that were in the other line like cycled through the line like 3 times by the time I get up there. And then, of course, he's like, oh, you need to be in that line. So I'm like, oh, the line where I would have been done like a while ago. I would have been in and out of here like a third of the time. You mean that line? Assholes putting their damn signs up that are wrong. Anyway, I went to the wrong place. You know, the post office is digging this. They love it. You know, people have to follow even more rules, and you know, people hate it even more to be there. You know, they get off on that. I'm in Ohio. It's 50-50. Yeah, that would be nice. I've heard of places where they quit dealing with it or whatever, and you know, they're just leaving it go. That would be nice, or at least giving you an option or something. I don't know. Hopefully that'll end pretty quick. There had to be something else that I'm not thinking of because I don't put that much attention to this. But I'm sure there's been other things that people did that were stupid, and then people eventually quit doing it, wiping off apples or rinsing off lettuce. I don't know, doing something dumb that was pointless. But anyway, I think once the elections are over and there's no, I think right now you're seeing some pressure applied to suggest political, you know, consequences like, oh, this is happening because of so and so. All we got to do to get rid of this is vote. I think a little bit too much of that shit's happening. Super neat opportunity, though. We'll see if all the politicians get held accountable. You know, and people go, you know what? I don't like the way you're handling whatever. Goodbye. Whenever you clean house, the new politicians come in and respect their position a little bit more, right? So that's got to be good. I work at a gun shop. Yeah. I mean, this isn't the first time that's happened. There's rushes all the time. I mean, I don't know. I guess we don't think about it in other areas, maybe, because we don't care. But you know, this isn't the first time gun stores have sold out. That's for sure. But I don't know how long you've been working at a gun shop, but I don't know. I haven't seen anything from the industry to talk about the evolution of the supply chain for this kind of stuff. Because I don't know. I guess I'm saying that. Remember when the toilet paper got sold out? It wasn't because people were pooping. It was because of some misunderstanding or misconception that there was going to be a shortage based on the supply not being at the stores, and then a media hype. So I don't know. I see some parallels is all. So who knows how the industry's dealing with this, if they're trying to do anything, and if they are, what tact they're taking, right? You know, I keep hearing about so many people that were against buying them, started buying them, but how does that doesn't, you know, unless they sign some kind of oath that they've changed their mind on stuff, there's always been people that don't like something that'll buy it. There's people that hate bug poison because they think it's unethical or they don't like the idea of getting cancer, and they wake up with enough cockroaches on their face and they're going to buy some bug poison. There's people that don't like fluoride, and then they lose enough teeth and they start brushing their teeth, right? So these people that hate guns, they didn't see the light. They just got scared and bought a gun. That's like the worst way to buy a gun, I think. I don't feel real optimistic that those people who are, I don't know, whatever they were, are going to stick around. Some of them will. Some of them will. And I'm not saying I know the future, because this panic, this whatever is different than the last ones have been. But because of that, it's silly to think that this one is going to be like the last one. It's different than the last one. So all these people that are banking on it being like the last ones are foolish, I think. Anyway, there's a couple of topics there. I really don't like this talking to Chad only. You can just jump in here and we can just chat. I'm really not. This is weird for me. I'm chatting to the wall. I'm not really paying attention to what I'm trying to do here as a task. And like I say, I run this thing as a conversation for people, not for me to tell you my positions on shit necessarily. But it would be interesting to talk to somebody from a gun shop. If you ever want to jump in, you're welcome. You don't really need anything except, I guess, a microphone. Yeah, I imagine. You don't even make 9mm, do you? Yeah, they make ammo over there. Well, you're in California, I think, right? So I imagine. But again, this can't be your first time at the rodeo either. Oh, you already do make 9mm. It looks like you got in on that too, because I can remember when you were just at the end of gun channels there, you were kind of tooling up with reloading stuff, I thought. Or was it just the 3D printers? But I thought with the 3D printers, you were doing some reloading stuff with Dead Horse and stuff. All right, well, so like I say, this isn't super productive for me. I try to keep this open for my Patreon. So there's all kinds of cool Patreon stuff happening. I'm filmed 6 or 8 of the videos for the Patreon swap meet. So the Patreons will have an opportunity to grab some of the loot that's laying in the way over here. Like I say, I just got some stuff in the mail today that might be from halfway across the planet. And I might need a hell of a lot of room to expand to lay all that stuff out. So I'm getting rid of a bunch of crap. Well, a bunch of cool, awesome stuff that is extra for me. So I'm putting it in envelopes and filming that. And I was going to post it all on YouTube, but I started this show because I figured a bunch of people would show up and talk about guns. Anyway, nobody's doing that. Well, Chad is. Let's see. We sell every bit. Yeah, came in. So I don't know. Again, I understand that when this is happening, it's the thing to talk about. But this is like the 4th time it's happened, and it's frustrating for me watching the gun community get so perplexed for the 4th or 5th time since I've been paying attention. And I know for a fact there was decades that I quit paying attention. I grew up with guns to the point where I got sick of them for a long time. Got out of the military and I was like, all right, I'm done with guns. I've done enough. I just wasn't interested. I was interested in other things. So all during that time, they passed an assault weapons ban and the stupid 86 garbage. I didn't even pay attention because I was doing other things. And now, so there had to be buying panics back then, right? When they changed it to where you had to sign your information to buy ammo. Remember when you had to put your address and your name on a piece of paper to buy any ammo? It was like that from 1968 until 1986. So tell me about panics. We've had a bunch of them. And anyway, I'm not saying this one's not a panic. I'm just saying I'm just not I'm not as hyped. I mean, it's going to happen. Yeah, it happens. I'm curious to see how the industry is adapting to these things. And be nice to see the industry come up with a way to keep everybody aware. I don't even want to say try to keep them calm, because that's up to you if you want to freak out, but at least keep people aware. Because people freaking out about ammo is like people freaking out about toilet paper. In hindsight, is it necessary? You know, is it it's profitable for a few people, but I don't know if it's good for us to keep going like this. So I'm not gonna hype about it too much. You know what I mean? Does that thing work? Oh, okay, you just double click on it. Yeah, I'd like to be able to talk about ammo again, but just I like collecting ammo, so I'm curious about the history and whatnot, and the evolution of various things, and then of course collecting variety of 7.62 by 39. But it seems almost insignificant compared to all the fights that we got ahead of us here. Challenges, we've got 2 virtual nationwide opportunities ahead of us. Since we can't meet, nobody's willing to meet anyway in person. We have virtual gun rights policy conference coming up. I don't know how many live chats are talking about that, but first time ever in 35 years that the organizations are going to get together virtually in a method or in a format on the platforms that, most of the YouTube at least, but a big bunch of the gun community as observers are aware of and comfortable with. And I'm wondering how much collaboration, how much communication's happening there. Anybody efforting to facilitate that? Do they know what they don't know? And I mean the Gun Rights Policy Conference people. And of course, I was just watching the video from Cheryl and Pincus and Danny talking about the two-way rally, which was going to happen in real life. That wasn't even supposed to happen, and now it's happening virtually. So, what's happening with all that stuff? And that's all happened in moments before an election. I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of potential power there. And where's that learning curve? And where are people at, efforting for a different future rather than amplifying what we've done in the past and repeat, record, rewind. What did I say? Record, play, record, rewind, play, rewrite, record, rewind, play. I don't know if that's what I said, but anyway, so yeah, I hear about the ammo cycles or the ammo shortages, but anyway, that's it. So we're done. Nobody's jumping in, and I've just yelled at the people that are chatting about ammo out here. So I feel like I've accomplished something, shitting on people's conversation. Nobody's talking, so I guess we're going to end it. Thanks for showing up, the people that did. Bishop's out there, and Chad. Is this person?
It's Chad.
Oh, right on. So what part of the country are you in?
I'm in Ohio.
Right on. So how long you been at a shop, working at a shop?
About 10 years.
Oh, okay. So you've seen it. So,
The one thing that's different about this one that kind of struck me is like the first timers, the ones that would like protest before. When the sheriff and like the crony came and the sheriff said, we're not going to respond to theft calls that are under like a certain amount. And we can't be everywhere at one time type of deal. And they came on like the TV and said that.
Yeah.
Like the shop just got flooded. And it was just crazy. Like those people is what kind of struck me.
Yeah, I remember from my hanging around in shops, you'd get typically you get people that know what they're doing. You got people that they've been around for a while, so they're just they're aware. They've either been to your shop or they've been to enough shops to know what's going on. And they just kind of have a way about them, and you don't have to worry about them. You just have to worry about making them happy or not, I guess. But aside from that, they're squared away. But then you get people that are like pro-gun that are getting into guns. But for me, since I didn't like work at a gun shop every day, I like hung around once in a while when I felt like it, kind of thing. So when it got busy, I scrammed, right? I wasn't going to hang around when it was super busy. But every once in a while, that would help out when they were having a rush or something. So my experience with new shooters very minimal. But anyway, like I say, from my perspective, there's the people that are eager and anticipating being a gun owner. So when they're new, like they know that they got a lot to learn and they're eager. They want to learn it. They're looking for suggestions on how to get into it, right? They're looking for everything.
Right.
But then you get the people out here, at least, where it's like out here in Tucson, it would be, I got a ranch and there's like a coyote, or I got a ranch and I heard some noises, or I got a ranch and something, and so I need a shotgun, or I want a rifle, or I want a gun. And then you got I don't know, maybe like I'm scared. I got somebody and I'm scared, and like in town, like I'm scared and I just need a gun to protect myself, kind of thing. But that was it. And then every once in a while, somebody comes along and goes like, I just think guns are a good investment. So sell me the guns that are going to make the most money over time. And that's, that would be somebody who didn't know about guns, probably could care less, only just buying them because it's the thing they can buy. Somebody told them it was a good deal. So those are the three that I'm most familiar with. I didn't really see too many people coming in because the news scared them. Like I say, when the people came in scared, it was because either for real, like they got something going on, or they perceive that something's going on. But it's usually like an individual, or like they're out to get me. It's not like, or like my husband's out to get me, or my wife's out to get me, or like they're out to get me. Like it wasn't the news scared me so bad. So like, in other words, like the 94 riots, you weren't working at a shop then, but I guess that was probably one of the times when like the news would have got people to buy guns who wouldn't buy guns. I'm trying to think like when we had a bunch of people buy guns at the end of like in '04, but that was more of those like eager, like, hot damn, now I can buy guns and they're cool. Like I'm gonna go buy cool guns. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm new to guns, but I might just hate them next week, or I'm new to guns, but as soon as I don't need to have a gun, I'm gonna get rid of this thing. And that's where I guess I'm at. Like this, you've got different new gun owners, right? I'm guessing they're more like those kind of people. Or was it just a bunch of those people who are like, I kind of thought about getting a gun and now this made my decision for me?
Well, I work at a very big gun shop. It's point blank. And we got protested like several times to where the store went in. They were doing protests, and like some of the same people you see in the protest that were saying that these AR-15s or these black guns are just horrible. All of a sudden they come in, that's what they want to buy. and they would ask, like, what do you recommend for home protection? We recommend a shotgun. Depending on your frame and your size. Like it's just mind-boggling, man. When they realize
if somebody was like came in and said, I don't like guns, but I'm buying one, I'd probably have said, then you're gonna need to go somewhere else. And the owner of that shop would have backed me up on that, because we were a small enough shop that he would have rather sold whatever the gun was that some jerk would have bought to somebody he likes. So he would have, if I would have said, no, I just thought that guy was an asshole. And, who knows? I don't know. He just didn't seem like a gun owner to me. And the owner of that shop, he would have been like, all right, maybe don't do that every day, but okay. Like, I'll take your word for it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I had that kind of relationship, and there was only 3 of us that ever worked there, but maybe 4, I guess. But we all had that sort of attitude. Like if somebody came in and you could tell maybe they were a reporter or something, like this never happened, but I'm saying theoretically, a reporter came in and was like, I don't like guns, but I want to buy one to show how horrible they are. What's a good one? We'd have been like, I don't know, go somewhere else and buy it. You're not going to, so we had that freedom. So I never had to sell it to somebody who was like, I don't like this thing and blah, 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 but I'm buying it. So I don't know. Do you guys have that? Like, are you allowed to have like, well, I just didn't feel right, so I told them to keep moving?
Yeah. How we get around it is basically say, they came in, they're asking for a certain gun, but they know nothing about it. We think it's a straw sale. You're done.
Yeah. And the same kind of thing. Like it just doesn't seem right. Like this doesn't seem like a typical sale. It seems like some kind of
because you gotta be really careful with straw sales anyway. If somebody comes in and goes, oh, I want an AR-15, well, what do you plan on doing with it? Type of deal, and you kind of ask certain questions and they kind of lead you to believe that they know nothing about guns whatsoever. Or they ask for an AR-15, well, which one would you like to see? Point to it and I'll get it down. And they point to, a Winchester rifle. They don't know what the AR-15 is, but that's what they want. Well, you're automatically done. Just there's ways around things.
Well, like I say, typically you're only going to get like that kind of person coming in a blue moon or something like that's every day. So you're talking like
the people we were getting were scared because there is some bad neighborhoods not too far away from the gun shop. They're probably 8-10 miles. People were honestly scared to death that the sheriff wasn't going to come. Because like when they realized like the police can't be everywhere, and they've seen a lot of these police departments like backing out, like deputies leaving and stuff, it scared people.
Like as stuff, or where you near where stuff is burning down or anything like, or
No,
what
no,
been starting?
no. Well, I wasn't near any. I'm not. I wasn't, and it hasn't happened yet. It was just the police department made an announcement that said we're not going to respond to various calls.
Yeah, that's almost a better scenario, right? Because then the bad thing is just a potential, and because they reacted, and and who cares? You could say one way or the other, but they reacted that way.
When he made that statement is when the Black Lives Matter thing kind of came through town. We have a lot of rural areas around us, but on the other side of town, it's a, I can't say it's a worse neighborhood. It's just a different neighborhood. And like Black Lives Matter went through like the rural part, and we're in southern Ohio, right on the edge of Kentucky. Then people are a little bit different. Like you're not going to come into town that they've lived in for 30, 40 years and start tearing up their stuff. There is statues there, and they want to start tearing that shit down. It's like, that ain't going to happen. So a lot of people just around the areas got scared and started buying guns. It's crazy.
Well, like I say, that's not necessarily if somebody's going to get, I don't know, it's if the police don't actually have something to say, they're not like there's nothing actually happening, and they say we're not going to show up if something does, then you would think people would go, okay, I can, when all these people have been saying, I don't know, they haven't ever listened to an argument before, but you would think that at least they'd be open to listening to the idea that when we talk about why you own a firearm isn't just for some sort of weird civil war, but if they're like the police aren't available, the police are just busy, and there's only 10 police officers, and they're busy with 12 things, and you're the 13th thing. That's when it's handy to have some tools around, to have it. And then by having the ability to have it, more importantly, you don't need to use like some crazy, like, well, if there's this crazy potential circumstance, then it would be great to have a freedom. But instead, you can say that, the reason that we don't have this many weird problems popping up all over the place that cause chaos is because there's firearms around. And you would think that that would be a potentially, like I say, a lot of opportunity here, a lot of potential to, I don't know if I want to say win any arguments, but quelch arguments before they even get started, because it's going to be really difficult for the antis to still sing the same song. Problem is, they're not stupid and they're not bored. Like, they got all the time in the world. They're making good money. So they're going to come up with another song to start singing here pretty quick. And if we just all sit around as gun owners going, oh, we're done. Like, we got all these new gun owners, and they're eventually going to be like, they're going to come up with some new song, and we're going to be 2 steps behind in the rotation here.
Oh,
I'm not banking on these new gun owners. These are just people that purchase stuff. If anything, we should be thinking about the money they invested in the community.
Yeah.
That, because those human beings are fair weather fans or whatever.
The only thing I'm hoping is that with some of these people that bought some of these guns, when they come and they try to put votes in to take away certain guns, these people say, hey, I paid for that. It's mine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Leverage there, or potentially. Because I don't think so. I mean, it'd be nice. But these are the same people that trust the government and want the government to. When the government says, you know what, because of what happened, we really think it's a bad idea for you people to own them. And they're going to say, okay, you're probably right. So you make better decisions than me. I'm willing to keep mine up. And then what we're going to have is shit tons of gun owners going, I'm a gun owner and I don't think we should have guns. And I'm a gun owner. And they are, they're now allowed to say that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that with how the government's handled some COVID things and other things, that they can see clearly that the government's not there for your well-being.
Right. Or at least, even if they are, they're not capable
Right.
everyone's well-being. So it doesn't matter what your intentions are. The reality is that, yeah, like you can legislate towards Fantasyland, but you don't get to actually have Fantasyland.
Correct. Because there's a lot of people in this area that weren't happy with shutting down of the businesses, the smaller businesses. You know, they've been there for 60 years and they thrive on, you know, having people coming in. And they shut them down, and the government pretty much shut them down for how many weeks for that damn corona.
The government told people not to go, and people didn't go. So saying the government did it is giving too much power to the government. The government sanctioned a bunch of people deciding to follow a bunch of stuff that was said. So that's what we have to actually overcome. Having a government that does or doesn't tell us what to do isn't the solution. Having a population of people that are smart enough and have enough experience getting slapped around that they understand when they're being slapped around and when they're being offered a hand up. That's, we just have to wait for that to happen. Expecting us all to bounce out of this and be better or different or whatever, more experienced is not true. It's going to take everybody a couple of bouts at things, but I'm just not,
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think the government handled it in a proper way. Like, I don't think the information was enough in the beginning.
I don't want a government that can handle it in a proper way that everyone goes, oh, the government's right, let's just do it. We want a certain amount of skepticism and for people to go, hey, wait a minute. And we'll have people to yell. We just got to get used to dealing with that everything ain't always fucking perfect. Does anybody want it to where, oh, there's a pandemic, let's just all follow procedure 14 and we're all going to get on the red line instead of the yellow line and deal with this pandemic orderly? Like, no, I don't want to live in some bored world where everyone just efficiently, so I guess I'm just being contrary, I guess, but I guess I'm just going, I don't think the government made bad decisions or right decisions. The government's just the damn government. And hopefully this wises people up that there is no answer. There's no like set of rules that could have been, followed, and it was somebody's fault for not following them. People figure out that like, hey, we all have to deal with stuff when it comes along. We dealt with this one like this. We could have dealt with it like that. And we're going to learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully.
At least I think we got that part too. At least that's if I'm going to talk about anything or if I'm going to fear anything, or at least I'm going to assume anything. I'm going to assume something like that. I think most people don't want to deal with petty garbage and wasting time, right? Like, so I think most people are interested in seeing these things come through.
Yeah, I think the whole thing was a waste of time.
Well, I mean, I hear you. No, I don't disagree. But at the same time, like, it's possible. I still think the science is there. Like, we could get some sort of crazy thing that kills a bunch of humans. And if that would have really happened to us, we didn't handle it very well. So if we got like a good, I want to say representative, but if we had somebody good in some role who could get up and go, hey, look, here's how we dealt with this, and here's how we could have dealt with it better. And everyone can go, okay, because of whatever, like they're not Republican, they're not Democrat, they're not hated, they're not loved, just somebody who's good at, some scientist, maybe somebody from a movie or TV or something, I don't know. But somebody could get up and go, hey, everybody, look, if we would have handled it this way as a nation, we would have been a little bit better off. Maybe there's something like that can come out of this whole thing. I would think that the agencies like the CDC and shit will be tasked with like having more masks and gloves and just dumb, simple stuff, right?
Right.
Or at least, if not the CDC, then that entity at every single level. Every hospital will have a little bit more, every school will pay a little bit more attention, every whatever. So it'll just be less impact the next time something happens. Everybody will be used to it.
So
Like if this would have happened to my grandparents, they wouldn't have needed to buy toilet paper. Like after the Great Depression, they grew up in the Depression. They always had extra paper. Like, you know what I mean? Like all through my whole
I did
life,
too.
extra paper.
Yeah. So where you're at, they didn't actually shut down any businesses?
Oh no, everything's shut down here. It's like a ghost town out here. It's horrible. In fact, everything's like there's stuff that's institutions. Like they used to film movies out here at a movie studio, and then it's burned down a few times because it's like literally an old west town, right? It's old firewood basically put together to look like a town. So it burns down every once in a while, but they put it back together to look like the old town it's supposed to look like, and that shut down permanently. Like it's out of business after I don't know since the 50s or something. So restaurants are losing like pretty much everything except the big box stores is closed. A restaurant that's like popular or capable is open for takeout business, but a lot of the restaurants I think weren't capable of doing that and folded. They needed a lot more business than that to make a living.
Yeah.
I mean, restaurants can have a couple of bad days and be out of business normally. To have to be closed like this, unless they're landlords or whatever are saying like you don't have to pay rent, which who's making up that money?
That ain't going to happen.
Yeah, I mean banks still need their loans and shit. So yeah, I'm sure I can't even imagine the worst part about it out here at least, and I'm guessing it's similar other places, is because we're still locked down and we're not allowed to be out like after 8 and all kinds of stupid crap. The stores can't be open after 8. None of the like little stores can't even be open. Because of that, we don't even know whenever they say like the governor basically says, you can go back to normal and all the people that are sick of it just go back to normal, then we'll know like how many stores are missing, how many little businesses never come back. Some of them I'm sure could snail it out or turtle it out or whatever that's called, like, just hurdle up and not pay bills for a couple of weeks or months or whatever it's been, and then get it back into business. But I'll bet you a bunch of them just we never see them again, which just sucks because I saw one of them that went out was a museum is going out of business.
Well, yeah, they'll all be going out of business. There's no doubt.
And what happens to all that stuff? Some fucker who's got a bunch of money is just gonna own a whole museum worth of cool shit.
Like around here, there's a bunch of they're called Indian caverns. It's basically caves where Indians lived at one time. A bunch of those I guess are going to be shutting down, not going forward with the upkeep and stuff anymore. It's crazy.
Well, that'll at least exist. Somebody will be able to come along and buy the property and put it back together if they want. But yeah, like just things that are inconsequential. The insurance companies, think about all the painters and just little jobs and stuff, that don't have a cave to go to again.
Yeah, no doubt.
Even then, like some things, just because they exist doesn't mean nothing. There's restaurants and stuff that are probably just as much landmarks, I guess, and they close down. They close down.
Yeah, the donut shop that I've gone to for 15 years, it's going to shut down, or it did shut down.
But at the same time, you need a fire every once in a while. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but I'm just trying to look at the bright side of shit. You need a fire every once in a while to keep the crap from getting to where a fire kills the whole forest.
Right.
So if we can consider this a brush fire and create businesses that are stronger through this, or that are smarter through this, or we just get more resilient to where we don't get, I think, duped by a bunch of sky is falling business. Because again, the government might have said, do this. If everyone said, nah, thanks, guy, then, you know what I mean? Like they would have had no power to do nothing about it. Everyone would have just been not wearing masks. If everyone would have just said, no, thanks, guy, and done their business without wearing masks, and I suspect we'd still be exactly where we are right now, because I don't even pay attention to the numbers, but I'm pretty sure all the numbers went down to like 6,000 deaths or something crazy. So, if everyone would have told the government, yeah, thanks, but we're not going to listen to you. We're just going to do what we want. And then, they would have said, oh, the sky's going to fall. And then the sky didn't fall. Then, we'd have a lot less people thinking that the government needs to be consulted for stuff, right?
Right. No, I agree.
DJ saying his sister went back to work as a waitress in May, and she got the COVID and then she recovered. Yeah, well, I'm not saying there ain't a COVID. I'm just saying there's no way to know what's going on one way or the other, actually.
No.
There's definitely people that got it, but people that got the flu, and I know people that die of other things, so
People die of diarrhea.
that can happen,
Right.
But it's sort of like the other, you can blame LaPierre because he's a dick and he's done bad things, and he's a jerk and he's willing to do bad things, or blame the system for letting it get to that point, or you can blame the membership for allowing the system to get to that point. So it's just a matter of who you feel like address percent of blame on. Anyway, getting back to the gun owners, it's definitely I don't know, it's got to be good. Like having all the gun shops make a couple of bucks. Again, you know, the idea of a fire or whatever, like having them sell things, that's always good. It sucks having a bunch of inventory and weird guns that are just sitting there forever, consignment stuff that won't move.
They all moved.
Yeah, it's fun. I can't even imagine how fun it is for so many shops to just have their books clean. I mean, it's a little frustrating getting new guns in, but it's an opportunity for all the people that either intentionally or now by necessity are thinking about what their investments are worth. So gun shops know, you know, pretty much what guns people got, especially the people that come in and brag about them all the time. So when something like this happens and they're empty, they know they got Rolodexes. They can start calling around and say, hey, you know, do you want to sell that thing you've been thinking about selling, or do you want to sell 2 of those? And next time I get an XYZ, I'll let you know. And you start seeing shops get full of interesting guns, because when people are selling stuff, you know, out of their safes, it's not necessarily whatever was built yesterday. It's something interesting. So that gets these new gun owners. And that's something interesting too, I guess, another facet of it that I hope some people are talking about. But if you go to the shop today as a new gun owner and you try to buy like a Glock 19, which you should be buying, they're probably going to be like, oh, we can't get one right away. So do you want one of these other things that we got? And then you might look around and buy something dumb or good or weird or cool. And then you go home with something, like I say, and then that's what you start with. So you're just a different gun owner that went to the shop and got exactly what he was told to buy and started the way you're supposed to start. You know, if you're being mansplained, you're supposed to start with a Glock 19, and then you know, maybe go to an AR-15 or whatever. But you know, or shotgun, it kind of depends on who you get talked to by. But you know, when you don't get a choice and it's like, okay, I guess I'm buying a Bursa, or like, I guess I'm owning or whatever, you know, XYZ, then you're that guy who starts owning guns wishing he had bought a different one, but owning something else. And that's not necessarily, I mean, it's not the funnest thing. It's not necessarily the first thing people want to do, but it ain't the worst thing. It gets you owning guns in a fun way.
The flip side is the people that knew people were looking for guns and they thought they can make a profit. They brought a lot of guns in and sold them to us as like for used guns. Because there were some nice guns that came in, man. I picked up a Colt Woodsman, I think, for like $400 with the box and everything in it. There were some beautiful guns that came in.
Now, you're with a bigger shop, so they probably just got source kind of established. Like,
Yeah.
if the value is here, we're going to buy it at 20%, or we're going to consign it at 20% below what it's worth. We're going to sell it for what it's worth, and then we get our 20%, and everybody's happy. The customer gets it at a fair price. You get, you know, what you're getting a legit number, and we get to stay in business. But are you getting people in that are like, I expect to get $800 for my $400 gun, and
No.
think you're going to make money selling that or something? Or people being
I hate saying this, but the majority of people that came in to sell guns was either the guy that was stuck with it, that he didn't like it. Like, you know, the old like Taurus G2s, the high points, like that shit came in for sure.
He's stuck with it like a long time ago.
Right.
He's
been holding on to it forever. You know what I mean? The old, but a lot of the guns that came in were from people where their grandparents died or an uncle died and they have this gun collection. They don't know what to do with it. Now's the time to sell it.
Oh, that sucks. That sucks.
Yeah.
Because they probably did not make any money on that.
No, and most of the guys that bought them was me and the guys that work there.
Well, yeah, because you guys know what's going on. But that's what are they going to do? So that they probably.
It's like they were sitting on them for a while, and then they seen like all these guns being bought on the news and whatever. Well, they thought, well, now they're buying them. Now's the time to sell them. We're going to get the most bang for the buck. And they just didn't.
Well, I think they were. If they would have come in like on a typical Tuesday with like their uncle's collection of guns, unless you just got a lottery windfall, you ain't going to be like, yeah, let me give you fair to top price on all those guns. You're going to be like, I'll tell you what, this is an entire collection. I'll give you 80% of what all of them are worth because I'm going to have to spend X amount of time just going. Like it becomes like you got to spend too much time collecting all these. You're going to want me to buy a couple of these that suck. A couple of them are worth more than the price I'm going to give you. But for the most part, this is going to be a wash. So you're basically if you just came in with an inheritance on a typical Tuesday, you're not walking away with profit. You're walking away with more than a pawn shop, not probably, but not like walking away with lottery wins. At least if they did it today, they're going to get fairer prices, I think, because they know that the gun shop at least knows that almost none of those guns are going to stick around, where normally they know the guns, 3/4 of them might stick around for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So at least that's going on. But you're right. Like that's just one of those things, though. If somebody's had a collection of cars or motorcycles that somebody left them, right, they're not going to know if they weren't into them. They might have a collection of really nice knives or pipes. Clover's out there, right? What if they have a collection of pipes or eyeglasses? I don't know, hats or something. Then if you're not into them, you're just going to have to go to somebody and hope that they're fair to you. But that's their fault for not getting into guns. If they had an uncle who had a cool gun collection or an aunt who had a cool gun collection, holy moly, they should have been chatting with that aunt all the time.
Yeah. I'm looking at the chat here. No, but other than that, I mean, it's been pretty good.
All right. Well, I'm over here trying to. Oh, Clover's jumping in. Good. I would say I'm over here trying to do too many things, and that makes me not pay attention to the chat. You're saying your restaurants are open again.
I was just addressing DJ that was talking about I guess he was saying, or she was saying, they didn't understand why people want or require sitting in a dining room. And when all of this started, there's several restaurants that we go to, once, maybe twice a week. And we tried to go get the takeout. I mean, and even did it a couple of times just because one time can be a fluke. And every single place, the takeout just sucks. It's horrible because you order it and then like by the time you get there, who knows how long it's been cooked, and then it's been sitting in the little container sweating, and then you got to bring it home, and it's not the same. It's absolutely horrible.
I hear you. I mean, the restaurant.
Thankfully now everything is open, and I mean, we can go in, sit down, and do our thing. But that's that's why some people is because I mean, for me, when I go out to eat, it's a luxury. It's not something that I do on a daily basis or anything like that. So when I go and spend my money, I mean, I'm not just. I mean, I could throw that to a charity or something and just not go get the takeout. I might as well if I'm going to get crappy food that I'm not going to enjoy.
Well, takeout kind of. I mean, I would think that nowadays with all the delivery options, even before all this garbage, just in general with the Uber foods and stuff, there's been delivery options available for places that don't have their own delivery driver. Mm-hmm. So you would think that they'd be up on it. But I've had, I don't know if it's the container, probably a container and the intention, and the concern to actually prepare it right. But where you remember the one sandwich where they would put the lettuce on the side. I've had restaurants that when they put to go order together, it's not the same as when they give it to you on the table at the restaurant. in
I've
that
had
it's hard a little bit, right? So when you get it, it's like, oh, okay, great, I can assemble it, and they've like put some care into this. And anyway, so it kind of depends on the restaurant, I suppose, and if they're busy or not. Like if you go to a place when they're slammed, obviously, or just got done being slammed, that's not the time to expect the pristine service necessarily. But I don't know what DJ was saying. Like I just don't like that everyone here expects to be catered to as far as food and drink delivery, takeout. Why the hell would you want to require sitting in the dining room? I'm not sure what you mean. Like I go to restaurants. Number one, my place is gross. Like I wouldn't want to eat here if I could help it. I can't afford to eat out all the time. But if I was going to eat with someone, I'm never taking them here. I'm going to go out. So I can imagine I'm not the only person that has a gross place. So you go out to enjoy life and experience a little piece of niceness that you don't have to pay for 24/7. But meetings and business meetings and stuff, I don't have an office, so I don't have like a place with a desk and shit. So I meet people at coffee shops and stuff. I can't even tell you how many old people I know that go out and they just get like a drink or something for $3. They're not rich, but they just hang out. Like that's just their place. I think it's sort of what do you want to say? It's like the coffee shop. Like literally, it's in the vernacular, right? Like it's like the water cooler. It's a place to just gather and again, like now that I'm thinking about it, like little groups, clubs, collectors clubs, historical little groups, sports teams. I'm sure like they'll get together in restaurants and use them as places to have meetings that has food right away.
Yeah,
So anyway.
I know my bourbon club does that.
And that's the kind of stuff that suffers. Like that's the kind of little stuff that, what do you call, the little stuff you don't think about that keeps a place in business, right? And when you take all their like little Wednesday meetings away and this and that and the other thing that adds up.
Just look at the amount of tips.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean? Like if you have an awesome waitress,
going through,
yeah.
Like I know that they already kind of adapted, but the food supplies and the drink supplies, all the different material supplies. Yeah, I mean, if they're not doing something on Wednesday that uses X amount of Coca-Cola syrup, and now there's one less box, so that backs up, and that happens with 16 restaurants. The distributor uses 3 pallets less of cola syrup, and now Dr. Pepper's not sure what the hell dance to do with syrup and Sprite and RC. They don't know what's going on, so it can be weird. And that's just soda syrup, right? Like think about like mustard packets and everything else that's just going nuts.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger.
But at the same time, like I've been saying, like all these fires and all these different things that are happening are making us so strong. Like of all the things that could have hit us, a big meteor isn't going to give us no slack. Like who cares if you got enough mustard packets? Here's your change of the weather for the whole planet, period, right? Like that could have happened. Could still happen, I suppose. Volcano could go off just out of nowhere, change in weather patterns forever, right? Like there's so many horrible things that could have happened. Of all the things, like, and even just a really bad pandemic, like an actual real pandemic where there's like, that I just got done watching that superhero movie where they snap the fingers, like one of those kind of things where there's like only a third of the human beings left on the planet 6 months later, like a real pandemic. Like of all the real things that could have happened, hopefully we'll come out a lot stronger. Like we'll be like, I don't need a mustard packet. I can eat my sandwich without a mustard packet. If it's that makes you stronger, or if it's just the infrastructure gets us mustard packets better, more flexible or something.
Well, I kind of wonder, fast food places, they've got it down pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, you go in there, you get your stuff, but I mean, a sit down restaurant, the whole idea of ordering is different, right? Because they've got it prepared and they've got to do things. So what I've got to wonder if, going through this, if restaurants like sit down style restaurants are not trying to revamp, innovate, figure out better ways to do it. Cause like McDonald's, I mean, yeah, we can go through the drive through at McDonald's. We can stop off at the park, sit out on a picnic table and eat our McDonald's, right? And it tastes no different than if you was to eat it in McDonald's. But there's something about a sit-down style restaurant that is not the same. It's just absolutely, ambiance and having a wait staff and all of that stuff, that does play into it. But just the taste of the food and the consistencies and everything else, it's not the same.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, it's something that I'm hoping that one of the things I've thought we've had the opportunity with the internet and the the world of transportation and shipping things, eBay and everything, to see local become interesting again. You know, local flavors, the way that they make barbecue, the way that they make biscuits, the way that this place makes soup, the way that place makes a crab cake, or you know, the way they weave their wicker chairs, or the way they make their rugs, or they make their pottery, and all the different crap people are interested in. Just instead of the big box, I want my shirt to be the same as everybody else's shirt, or I need my boots to be the same as everybody else's. The interest and whatever in all the different stuff. So if this thing, I'm hoping, can kind of push the strategy, the infrastructure strengthening idea of like inner city spaces being used as gardens, so that there's like victory gardens, people deciding that some of their time could be spent preparing victory gardens, and then figuring out, oh crap, like I can eat like spinach and lettuce and these different leaf vegetables, because you just go out and like shear some of that off every day. It's like mowing the grass, kind of, except that you're eating the big pieces of leaf and spinach and stuff that you pull off of there. Like, oh, I can do that and it's not that hard. Well, then maybe we don't need a billion dudes coming up from El Salvador with their families, you know, dying along the way in Mexico, so that they can pick lettuce somewhere where that could be a silicone diode factory or something, and maybe we can just make lettuce locally. And then it's, instead of getting like, you know, the lettuce that can transport from Mexico to San Francisco or something, it's the lettuce that is amazing that you can only get at that restaurant, you know. And then you go to this other restaurant and their salads taste different. Oh, it's because you're getting your lettuce from the roof. What are you talking about, right? Like that could be fun. And then you get with the internet, you know, like oh, I'm like how people take pictures of their food on Instagram now, right? Except, you know, with even more authenticity. So it's like, I'm not taking pictures of my McDonald's, I'm taking pictures of my local joint. Or, you know, food, but it could be cars, you know, fill in the blank, clothes, gun ranges, right? Like that's the neat part. Look at all these. I've been, you know, doing some looking at the gun ranges and stuff. There's some neat gun ranges out there. So there's an opportunity for us to come out of this stronger and more melting pot and more united than ever. Because obviously we have a big emphasis on unity or lack of or whatever at the same time, right? This is definitely an interesting year.
Well,
without getting into all of that, anything going on specifically this week? I guess we got kind of big there for a minute. I haven't chatted with Clover in a bit and never chatted with Pop Tart before. So you're Pop Tart in here. Out there you were
Chad.
And then do you got a YouTube channel or anything?
No, I don't.
Right on. So yeah, thanks for jumping in. So I don't know if you heard Clover. He part-time at a gun shop up in Ohio?
Yes, sir.
nice.
Shoot point blank. Other than that, I work at the steel mill. I've been there about 15 years.
Wait a minute. Is this the one that I've been to twice?
I don't know.
Let me look at what's on that screen share. Let me go look at which one I've been to. I think I've been to a place called Weeknight, but I've been to a couple of gun shops, so I'm going to make sure it's the one I'm thinking.
They're all over the place.
Oh, it's a chain?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Verify.
Odds are you have.
It's a
No, I
big
know I went to someplace in. Smeggy kicked me out like real early in the morning when I was in Detroit, and I forgot where I was going, but I just needed to like charge my phone or something, so I went to this gun shop. But I don't think it is, because I'm looking now and it's not showing up as a search for. Oh, you know what? I'm thinking of Michigan anyway.
Well, they're in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
I think they're in.
Nope, I'm thinking of Top Gun. So I'm wrong.
Okay.
Another term. So I haven't been to that one. I don't think. So that's cool. But yeah, we were kind of talking about the number of gun owners. I'm sure, Clover, you've been in enough chats talking about that kind of conversation. But then knowing me, I'm not interested in having the same old, same old. So I was kind of saying, my concern is that these people, if they're the type that are, you know, I don't want a gun, I hate guns, but oh shit, I'm scared shitless, I'm buying a gun. And I think they're the first people that are going to be like, well, I'm a gun owner and I want gun laws, or I'm a gun owner and that kind of gun is no good, or I'm a gun owner and I'm all for it. Or just I'm sick of this thing. I'm getting rid of it tomorrow, and like, voting against it because it was too easy to get. I mean, I'm scared that they're going to be wishy-washy, flip-flop gun owners, or potential. Not all of them, but there's a potential for them to be in there.
Yeah.
You heard anything? Anybody chat about that at all?
Not from that perspective that it'll come around and bite us in the rear end. Most of the chatter is that overall it's going to end up being a good thing. I mean, odds are when they went and bought something, the most popular stuff is probably what people bought, and some of the most popular stuff is what once they want to be regulated. So if they truly did fear for their lives and they were scared, that's usually a feeling that people don't forget. And so especially if they got something to remind them of that, and that firearm of course would remind them of that. And then so when they start hearing politicians talking about banning this or banning that, and it applies to what they have, or they remember what the process that they had to go through, which is different for every state out there, let's be honest. But they remember the process that they had to go through, and then they hear legislators talking about making that even more difficult.
Yeah,
And
it might be
they're
different
thinking,
everywhere.
wow, what if I need another one, or what if I need ammunition, or what if I need this or that? So I think odds are more in our favor on it than the flip side, but I do see a certain percentage doing like what you're talking about, forgetting about it. You see it all the time with buybacks. You get people that man on the street around the buybacks, and they're taking one, and I bought it years ago, and it's never been out of the drawer. It's time to get rid of it, or grandpa left it to me, or whatever. I mean, they don't care.
That's the thing. They got them, or they have them, or they found them, usually for a buyback. But as this is like something inspired them, something gave them the inspiration to go get it.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. I agree with you. The thing is, it's not happening in a vacuum. They're going to get influence from us one way or the other. And I guess that's why I bring it up, because we just can't assume one way or the other. And if we can be aware that they're not all the same, then we can hopefully just keep a conversation, right? And keep them.
Well, our store.
And I think we've got something really great going for us. And I'm speaking from the gun shop aspect of it, and speaking from the shooting sports aspect of it, and on the range and that sort of thing, is the people. I mean, by and large, I mean, they've got this, they say something to their, big time gun loving gun owner, whatever friend at work about they just bought this, and it no longer is that just a work colleague, but now they're talking guns and they're going to the range, and that affords that person an opportunity now that maybe before that person was on the fence, maybe slightly anti-gun, because they didn't see the necessity, they didn't see the need until now, until they got the crap scared out of them because riots were happening on their street or 3 or 4 blocks down, or whatever the case might have been. And so now it affords the opportunity for that conversation to start. I think that one thing that we have to do as pro Second Amendment gun owners, I think that it falls on us now to help stop the bleed, so to speak, on those numbers of what you're talking about, right? Those percentages that go back the other direction. I think it falls on us a little bit to be a little more vigilant in identifying those people around us that we've seen, and encourage them. Say, hey man, awesome, you picked up whatever it was, even if it's just a dumb pump action shotgun, man. Hey, awesome, heard that you picked up a shotgun the other day. Man, that is cool. Hey, you ought to come over sometime. You got an invite. Here's my number. We'll shoot some sporting clays with that thing, or whatever.
That's the thing. Like, whatever it is they got, take them to the fun version. Like, oh, you got a handgun? Let's go shoot steel. Like, oh, you got a shotgun? Let's go shoot something moving that explodes. Oh, you got a rifle? Let's go shoot steel far away. Like, let's go do something that knocks over or whatever. Yeah.
Right. And that gives another, because right now, they got scared into it, right? And right now they're looking at it strictly from the prism of defense.
Yeah.
So if they get a sense of safety, right, then that item they've got for their defense could go out the window. Oh, I feel safe now. Times are good. I feel safe. I don't need this anymore. Okay, I'll get rid of it. I'll support legislation. I'll do whatever. Whereas if you introduce them to the fun side and other aspects of guns in general, then they're more likely to stay in the community.
Or as you were saying that, I'm thinking, or just as bad if they just forget they got the gun and they're like, oh yeah, I totally forgot I had a gun, but I don't really care about gun laws again. But if you get them,
that's true too. Yeah.
But if you get them like shooting something, I mean, that's the only thing good about shotguns. You know, man, I'm not a big fan of shotguns, but heck, if you get one, going out shooting skeet or something, especially if, I mean, I haven't been to the skeet ranges because I just don't care that much about them. But if the skeet ranges, and I think they are getting as fancy as the other country clubs are getting, then there's probably all kinds of neat, cool, just hip shit hip things you can do at a skeet range or a 5-clay or something these days,
Yeah, shotgun clubs have always been the country club of the shooting sports. Always.
Oh, I just don't mean fancy, but just fun. Like they're have some of the lanes at the new ranges can shine red and blue lights around. They can do like different like scenarios. They can do all kinds of fun stuff. So even somebody who's like maybe impartial to guns could go there and go, okay, I don't like guns, but I can see why you enjoy this as a recreational activity. This is an immersive, fun, interactive thing, a game of skill. It's an individual. Like I can get this, right? Like I get you're not a paranoid weirdo, I don't know what. So that's why I'm thinking, yeah, like I'll bet you there's some, because last time I shot 5-stand, I'm still talking about it. 5-stand was so amazingly fun.
Right.
And that was, I can't even think. I don't want to think about it. 8 years ago, so it's got to be better by now with all the kids playing and stuff. And again, you could shoot like a 20 gauge. So you bought a 12 gauge for home defense. Great. Let's put some 20 gauge inserts in there real quick. I'm going to let you borrow, and you can see how little 20 gauge recoils. If you decide to buy a 20 gauge, great. And then, or you can borrow mine, and then they buy a 20 gauge. Now they got 2 guns, and you're out going out every week, every Wednesday or something, where there's 2 couples shooting sporting clays or something fun, then who knows? Then you start going hunting, because that's like, what do you do this for? Oh, so you can go hunting. What do you mean hunting? Like, oh crap, that's fun to barbecue. What can we do next? Hunting a deer. Oh, I got to buy a new kind of gun. All right.
Yep. Exactly.
At least in some places. I mean, yeah, that's not going to happen in the middle of the city probably, but
right.
Anyway, yeah, it's been super fun talking about that kind of potential there. So what do you think? I'm going to switch topics completely. I just got done listening to Gun Freedom Radio's interview today. It was with Pincus, and they're talking about virtual 2A rally.
Interesting.
The DC rally is going virtual. So gun rights policy has already gone virtual. They came up with that, I think, a while ago now, a couple of weeks ago, a month ago. Because of the place in Florida was only going to allow 100 people in the room, so they figured it wasn't worth doing it. I personally think they should continue with it, and if only 100 people can show up, you put 112 people in the room, you make the fire marshal come in. Or if something happens and they decide, oh, you know what, this was a joke, so my bad, you can have as many people in the room as you want. Then everybody can just make their plans and go. But anyway, they decided to make it all virtual. Now, the DC rally, they were saying, I don't know, I'm assuming you didn't watch or listen to the chat.
I haven't yet.
No.
It's like 40 minutes or something. So, you'd have to spend some time, but it's worth listening to because they get into it. There's not a lot of details. You kind of figure, it went virtual, big deal. That's the long story short, but they get into it. And, but I guess it's the same kind of thing. They can only have 50 people show up if they could have got the permit, but only 50 people can show up. So they said, why bother? But I still say, bother, do it. At least the 50 people that show up can be there, right? But whatever, it's sort of just doing it to do it. And if it's not if it's a waste of money, I guess it's a waste of money. But anyway, I guess I was going to say, seeing as these two things are virtual, what's your insight, perspective, any 2 cents on that?
Go ahead.
It sounds like you're first hearing about this.
I don't understand how Black Lives Matter movement can do these things and get all together during this coronavirus and all this, but other groups can't.
Well, because they're not going to like a convention center or going to like the lobby of a hotel where they need to rent it, and then they're going to give them rules. You can have this many people in the room. So,
Mhm.
they know, well, we need 3,000 people in the room, and they're only going to let us have 50. There's no point in doing it. They're just inviting the rioters or protesters or whoever is just inviting a bunch of people to stand in the street and scoff the law, basically. So, kind of plays to their thing. If I mean the 2A rally though, that's a tougher one because that's just an outdoor event. Now, here's a spoiler. Somewhere in there, they go, if people want to go to DC, nobody's going to stop them. The only people that are going to stop them is, I guess, the DC police if more than 50 people stand in an area together because they have some rule against 50 people standing together. But just because they couldn't get the permit doesn't mean people can't still show up there. However, they're not suggesting people go show up there or nothing. That was just sort of a aside that they kind of said, nobody's going to stop you, but we're not. They weren't suggesting that we should have like an alternate live rally or nothing. But yeah, I don't know. When it's an outdoor thing, I guess it would just be an issue of how do you get that many people to pay to go. I mean, when it's an unknown, I guess it's not like if it happened after the election and Biden won and he had already done an assault weapons buyback horrible situation, I'll bet you we have a 2A rally in real life. You know what I mean? Like, I think that would happen. But without a real fight, I just don't see a bunch of people efforting. It was hard to get a bunch of people to effort last year, and there was barely inconvenience. It wasn't a fight. It was just an inconvenience that has stopped a bunch of people from going. I don't mean the people that couldn't get to DC. I'm talking like the people that lived around there and just didn't want to battle the baseball crowd. Obviously, getting there is always a fight for financial, and you got to spend a week getting to a place.
Right. I don't have a problem with things going virtual out of necessity. Um, I don't have a problem with that, but I see a couple of issues. One short term, one long term. Um, Long term, I foresee it being damaging because personal interaction and stuff is a big deal. Feeling the electricity in the room or at not necessarily in a room, but I guess we're talking about indoors with some of this stuff. But um, that's a huge deal. That's something that you can't even explain. And I know, G, you've been to plenty of stuff as I have that what
It's
I'm
like a
talking about.
concert. It's like a concert. You want to listen to a CD or do you want to go to a concert? It's the
Right.
same songs, but two different experiences, right?
Total different experience. Right. So that's long term that I perceive that desensitizing people, the experience is just not enough to draw them in. Right. Not enough to create those hardcore people. That guy that goes for the first time and it's like completely wowed by it. And then you've got a lifelong, maybe even a more staunch supporter. You've turned an advocate into an activist at that point, potentially. And so that's long term. Short term, when I see stuff going virtual and going online, um, we already live in a virtual world and we know how this is. It virtual doesn't bring out the best in people because they have that cloud of anonymity that is always kind of over your head with the virtual world, and that's whether you're a speaker or organizing an event or you're out in the audience or whatever it might be. So um, that worries me short term. That you know it gets cast what kind of weirdness is going to be said when it gets shared around and people are in and out and things are happening. Um, are things going to be said or topics going to be brought up or things going to be done? Not talking about with the whatever virtual event it is itself, but as a byproduct, that because of the anonymity and because it was, it gets twisted, blowed out of proportion or something like that. And it has more of a negative connotation than a positive one. So that's kind of the short term I see with the whole virtual thing. I wished I could have had the opportunity to participate in the POMA virtual thing because I've yet really to participate in anything virtual, right? So at least since all this has taken place. So we obviously we're operating now in the virtual world, but you get what I'm saying as far as a conference or a big get together or whatever.
The presentation, yeah, like Second Amendment Foundation did their first one as a group of 3. What the hell was the point of those 3? They did 3. I forgot why. I think maybe to test the water. I'm scared that it was to test the waters for how they're going to do the gun rights policy conference. But they did 3 things on 3, like, was it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday or something of 1 week a while back, where they went live on Zoom. So going live on Zoom is not broadcast to YouTube or anything. It's inside of Zoom. So it's like going into a Discord chat, where it's going into, I don't know, Skype, right? You go into it, and then it's just like this. There's people that are in the room, I guess, and they're saying stuff to the group, and then there's people in the text chat that are part of the group, but there's no stream that goes out of that to the world, so it's not being live on YouTube or anything. Right. So I don't know if they're going to do it that way and then add the live stream, because I'm sure it's just got to be a switch they flip. I don't know if these were supposed to be private or if they were invite only. I don't know what the point of it was, but like you say, the POMA one was exclusive. It was invite only. So it would have been interesting to see how they did it, because I don't even know. They didn't invite me either. So was it Zoom? I guess. I don't know. I don't think it was Hangouts.
Probably.
But there is like a paid Hangouts, right? Like Google lost Hangouts in September of last year, 19, but then they replaced it with some crazy paid version that I don't know anybody. I think one of the people that we hung out with paid for it, but nobody else paid for it. Somebody paid for it, so maybe somebody is using that. I've never seen anybody use it though. Otherwise, there's this, and then a couple other systems like this that I guess stream to the YouTube and stuff. I haven't heard anything about the technicalities of it. I haven't seen, test runs. I haven't been invited to test runs, so maybe they're doing test runs and I just don't know about them. That could definitely be happening. But yeah, I never thought about what you said there, but that's another aspect to it. I guess as you were describing that, I was thinking the way I thought you were going to go. So I started thinking, at least this year, even if it's not perfect, they're getting experience going virtual, where they would have normally it's an afterthought, or normally it's like icing on the cake, or like, oh yeah, let's also get paper napkins, but they didn't think of them at first. It wasn't their main thing. This year it has to be their main thing. So if nothing else, they'll get experience. Hopefully they'll get better at this whole thing though, right? They'll get, it'll become a virtual, will be part of it going forward, I assume.
Yeah, it's true.
There'll probably be more people.
I don't know about that. I really don't know.
Well, you don't think more people would come to a virtual thing than they would to live? Like, a lot of people can't get out.
Clover, you tell me if I'm wrong, but the room of people that actually show up, and I usually count, and it's another thing I got where it's going to be frustrating. We'll talk about audience size here. I usually count about 400 people in real life. Like, I sit there and I count the people that are there in the room. I don't use the numbers that they give me. And I certainly don't use Facebook view numbers, right? But I count, like, I'll take a picture and then I'll count the heads in the room. And it's usually like 400 people that show up to a good gun rights policy conference. So of those 400, and that's like on Saturday peak time, and then my Sunday, it's like half that, 200 people show up for the second day. So it's very, very different. But at the peak level, I would say a third of those people know how to go online. Most of the people that show up are like, I don't know how they even got there. They're so old, and they're just not internet people if they're not old, but they're not internet people.
Right.
They'll have like film cameras there. There's like cassette recorders there. It's definitely a different world.
I know there's a lot of gun people that are tech savvy. I can tell you that.
That's true too. So I don't know. As much as I would say this is too dry and boring and who's going to show up, Jared has 750,000 views, and he doesn't throw shit in the mud or have bikini clad models take him on tours of places and get free giveaways. You know what I mean? Like, he's just talking nerd 2A stuff, and he's got 750,000 people subscribed to his channel. So maybe I'm living in the past, and maybe it'll turn into. I mean, well, I guess which one we're talking about. If we're talking about gun rights policy, that's a little different than
Yeah.
2A Rally, because 2A Rally has now Dana Loesch on board, and isn't she a real media person and like
Yep.
network TV or something?
Yeah.
And then and they already had like Hickok and didn't Military Arms Channel and Iraqi veteran all show up in Virginia?
Yep. If you take a quarter of those followers of those guys,
Yeah, and if
you're
they
gonna have a shit ton of people.
if they have to watch online, and they do because it's the only event that'll ever, there's never been anything that had Eric, Tim, and what's his face, old man, all together, right? Like there's been things where they've all been at the same place, but none of them have all been in the same room together, have they? I don't really pay attention to what they're doing lately,
I don't
but
either. I don't either.
Um,
Not
I
that I'm
don't-
aware of.
maybe they do that shit all the time. But if they do, then people are digging it, because the only reason they'd be doing it is because people dig it. So anyway, I think that's unprecedented. So we might see a shit ton of views for that. Now, if it's a big spike of views for them, and then as soon as DC Project gets up there, crickets, maybe, but maybe it'll be the other way around, and I'll shut up, and it'll be 750,000 people see the DC Project. Immediately, the phones start ringing, and the DC Project not only has their 50 delegates for each state that go to DC, but then those delegates are now running the state delegations, which go to the state level houses. So if those all fill up because a bunch of people from the YouTubers, I mean, that's the ideal, right? Like that's motivating the numbers of real gun owners on YouTube. There's huge numbers of other people too, but there's got to be huge numbers of gun people over there, making them aware of something like wait a minute. I was going to say if the rally was first, it would be better almost. But the rally is second, unfortunately. So it's not like they can be at the rally and get people all jazzed up and say, and then go watch the Gun Rights Policy Conference 11 and a half months from now.
Hopefully it's beneficial. Hopefully.
But we don't know who they're going to invite to the Gun Rights Policy Conference. It's possible that people met up, and maybe we'll see some names that bring virtual attendance to GRPC also.
They're going to have to if they want to have a chance at it.
I don't think that's their goal, so I don't know if they would have gone that way. But especially their first year going virtual, they may not be interested in huge attendance, because if they're for real and they did it legit, they'd have to be concerned about price, because that would create cost. But if they're just doing it on some free system, they might just be worried that it breaks the free system. Have we seen like how many people can run on the Duck or how many people can run on Zoom?
Zoom can hold a lot. I know that because when they did they did a Steel convention.
Oh, okay. Like a real amount of people. Okay, so then we're not going to break the system or nothing. So that's not, I guess, a concern. So I don't know, that's actually kind of cool, because if you would have tried to do this even 10 years ago, well, for sure 10 years, I was to say even 5 years ago, it probably would have cost you a significant amount of money if YouTube couldn't have handled it. If you would have needed more capacity than YouTube, it would have been financially impossible, I think, to do a live conference of size, I think. Otherwise, you'd see music being done that way, I suspect. You don't hardly ever see that. Except on YouTube, when YouTube can handle like 1 million people watching something live. And I'm sure they did something to facilitate that, because it didn't happen very often.
Yeah, I'll just have to wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah, at least it's interesting. It'll be a fun break from all the rest of the, endless tug at our attention for the, elections process or cycle or whatever.
If they learn anything, though, the rally should have people physically there and online for the ones that can't make it.
Wait, you're talking the 2A rally?
Mm-hmm. They should try to do both.
Well, I thought they should try to do both, but they're not gonna. Like I say, the permit only lets them have 50 people, I think he said.
Right.
So it's not practical to waste all that money. It's all done by private people, basically. It's not like there's big financial there's big financial backing, but it's just people's money, I think. So they don't want to just waste it unnecessarily, I think. Yes, that's. Clover, did you get the video? The patch video?
Yeah.
Well, I
I
was
did.
wondering how are you gonna put on Patreon? I kind of as soon as I'm like, should I give it to him? Like it's sort of I've got like this the 13th patch. I have the video of that. It's sort of like the same thing. Like, oh, that's neat. Except I can't show it to anybody. So I was like,
Right.
well, I'm gonna send it to you in case you want to show it to people. But
I may,
I was wondering
I may upload it and put it on. I may upload it and put it on Patreon.
because I guess if you do it as an unlisted,
They know
then
they know
Patreon
the
can
design
see it.
already, so
And they can see it. And I guess if they wanted to share it, but that's not going to spoil it for 500 people or nothing. But then once it's good to go, then you just flip it to public and then you got it. So I guess you could.
yeah, yeah.
If you want, I cut them into a square because I figure most people are going to put them on Instagram. And the thing usually has a bunch of garbage all around, like the outside the machine, just like the table or whatever. And like, why waste sending all that data to somebody? So I just cut it into a square out of Reflex. If you want, I'll send you the whole raw thing. Because if you're going to stick it on a rectangle, there might be a better way to crop it or whatever.
As far as what?
The raw footage I get is like a phone rectangle. So it's just a lot more than I sent you. I only sent you a square out of the middle. Like I say, because it's just, faster to send it to you. It's easier to put it on Instagram. I just wasn't thinking for you. You're not really going to use it on Instagram probably anyway right away. So I can just easily send you both files. I never even thought about it. And plus, it's way easier to say all that than it is to type all that in an email.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, if you do that, I'll throw it on Patreon here.
Same thing with like that picture. I figured the picture you can share easier with people privately or whatever, but that's frustrating. They're going to be big. I think the DC project one's a little too big. I made it bigger than I thought. It's tough. I don't know why it's so tough to get I usually go off the every second matters. And I'm like, okay, it's 3 inches by 4 inches. Like it's pretty simple. If I want the patch to be a little bigger than that, I make it bigger than 3 inches by 4 inches. And sure enough, they come in and I'm like, dang, that one looks big. Dang, that one looks small. Maybe they screw with me. Maybe it's metric. Maybe they screw with me after I give them the sizes. They're like, yeah, no problem. And then they make it whatever size they feel like anyway.
Yeah.
I never really measure them after.
I don't know. I mean, the ones I've seen looks like they've turned out well. So
yeah, I got the first box today, but I have to do things in order. I got this big surface, basically half a piece of plywood that I use to do stuff on, and it's all full of I'm doing a Patreon swap meet right now where I just took a bunch of stuff that's been accumulating and put it into envelopes. I put it on envelopes and then I turn the video on and pack the envelope while the video's going so everybody sees what's in each one. Right. And then I'm going to post those videos, I think, one a day. And then at the end of the week, I'll let everybody who wants something sign up for it. And then at the end of the week, if like more than somebody wants something, we'll just choose randomly and then send that stuff out. So anyway, I'm going to finish that project up. Then I'll have my table cleared off there. And then I already got the first box. The first 2 boxes are already here. It's one shipment in 2 boxes.
Yeah.
So that's already here. And that was, I think it was only like 5 days ago or something. So they're getting here pretty quick. And they've already sent me 2 shipments. So I'm not sure if that pace, we'll see another shipment here in a couple of days. Right. But I'm not sure of the pace. That's 2 doesn't make a rule yet. Just so far we got 2 shipments.
Yeah.
8,400 though. Holy moly. These first 2, my mailbox place is looking at me and I'm like, you don't want to know that these are probably the lighter of the boxes. Like they're going to get bigger. And they looked at me weird. They don't like it. They're little millennial kids that work there. They can't lift these boxes.
Right. Well,
what gets me is these boxes weigh a ton. They're just solid giant boxes of rubber. And they set it down. They're probably weigh like 50 pounds each box or something. And there's like the big ass wooden area that's designed for putting stuff on. It's a mailbox place. It's designed for shipping. That's all they do there. So there's a big place to put it. And then there's the other place right next to it that's got a scale. Where does he put it down? Top of the scale. No need to put it on the scale. It's just going to hurt the scale or bust, mess with the scale.
Right.
But whatever, put it down the scale. So I'm an old man because as soon as I'm like, all right, if I was here, I'd be nagging that kid about that. You got to put it on that scale. But you couldn't see that big clear spot next to there. That's how you know you're getting old.
Yeah.
Let me mansplain you how to set that box down, kid.
So how did I seen the chat the other day went for like a couple of hours. I had to jump out after about 30 minutes or so, but how did it go? Did it go anybody else jump in after?
We got Diane and Jared to meet, which I think is a big score. And then you jumped in, and did Nice Street jump in? No.
Charlie.
Well, Charlie, and then I was trying to think of somebody else. I think it was just us. I ended up chatting with Charlie for a while after, but Diana at first had, well, I guess she had some appointment at 7, but the person, showed up late or whatever, so she stuck around until she was able to, or until her appointment showed up. So we ended up chatting for quite a bit. I think it was pretty productive. I've got so much stuff going on, trying to remember exactly what we said yesterday during the chat and not after.
Right.
But chatting with Charlie, and for people that aren't paying attention, I'm sure the 5 people that are watching this or people that might watch this later, the patches are great. They're non-perishable items that they can ship to ship and hopefully use as a good resource. But a real big part of this whole project each year is to create a situation that gets people working together. So being able to chat with people about their projects and share skill sets and experience is really the goal. So having, again, a chat like that gives us a chance to just kind of shoot the shit a little bit. And how conversations go. Sometimes they're productive, sometimes they're a waste of time. But yeah, it was a super productive chat afterwards, because sometimes people are just not in the mood or not talking about it. Sometimes people are kind of talking business, and it turned into one of those. So we had some pretty interesting, I mean, when I say talking business, strategies for 2A and actually capitalizing on some of the stuff that's happening.
Right.
But I think Charlie's got some real potential. Charlie's doing some neat stuff. So I don't know if it's appropriate for me to suggest some of the stuff we talked about, but I'll tell you off air for damn sure. Some of the stuff that Charlie's thinking about. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to what he's going to be able to do.
Yeah.
And then the DC project is just, I respect what they're doing, and I am impressed with it. I don't even know how to say, every time I learn more about it, I'm more impressed, because I barely have the concept of it. I'm not a part of it. And, I got other things I'm doing. It's just something I'm a fan of. So it's not like I spend every waking hour worrying about it. But when I do learn about what they're doing and stuff, like I say, can't even imagine how cool it's going to be with them on our side after a couple of years. Just what they've been able to do. But I don't know if I talked about it when you were on there live or not. But one of the things that's been getting me, especially in the last couple of days here, as I've been thinking about it for some reason, the access, I guess, to representatives in the DC, the national level, people in the House of Representatives. Those people are typically only dealt with their family, I suppose, right? Their aides, people that work for them, other representatives, and then lobbyists. Who else really has access to these people? Who else do they really have time to talk to? They don't go to the gas station and hang out. They don't go shopping for themselves. So I'm guessing the realm of people that those people talk to is relatively small. Now, of course, they're not living in fish bowls, so they go out and talk to the rest of the world. But as far as having relationships and having time to talk to people, who do politicians talk to? Lobbyists, a lot of the time, probably. And then it's going to be victims, right? Or victims being exploited by some position. So something happened and this is horrible, or this happened and please do this, or you got to stop that, right? That's just how politicians, that's their role. So, it's just never been an opportunity that they just created. The DC project, Diana and the rest just created this slice. They just said, you know what, there should be more access. And now there's 5 ladies go in and talk to these representatives. So if it's Hawaii, where they could care less about guns, if the NRA guy comes in with his rings and his stink of fancy perfume or whatever, that guy must have some stanky gel in his hair. He's a jerk, right?
Right.
That guy comes in, he's all a dick. who does Hawaii care? Like maybe he's like, hey, give me some fresh salmon or whatever the hell back and forth they do. But it's just some scam bullshit politician shit happening. Now instead of that, it's 5 ladies come in, and one of them is from Hawaii, and the other 5 or other 4 are from somewhere else, and they're all diverse as shit. And they're talking to that lady with all of their real life situations. I think that's neat as hell. And I never thought about the access that they're getting and the experience they're getting. I guess I was going through, I did a page for the one of the books I was working on to kind of archive all the delegates. And as I was going through there, some of them have been with the project since 16, since they started. Some of them were in it from 16 to 17, some of them from 16 to 18, some of them started in, there's all different varieties, but, everywhere from a couple years to all 4. And that means that these representatives are just meeting different people all the time. And as that project keeps going, they're creating a different level of interaction, or whatever the word is, access, I keep saying, with representatives that the NRA, even if they wanted to, could have never even hoped to create. Because if the NRA would have tried to get 5 people, it would have been 5 Marion Hammers, right? It would have been 5 douchebag ladies that are halfway pricks, probably. I think. So anyway, I'm just continually impressed. And the more I think about it, or the more I think about what the potential is of that. Dang, I mean, look at it. Like, who did women have when we were little kids to look up to? If we would have been chicks, who could we have looked up to? Annie Oakley, period, done. Was there anybody else? Like, if you were really into sports, you might have known about the chicks that were in the Olympics, shooting in the Olympics in the 70s. But I didn't even know about the Olympics, period, let alone females in the Olympics. But you know what I mean? If we would have been girls back in the day, nothing to look up to, no role models. Was there like girl bandits or anything even? Like, there's not even girl bank robbers or nothing. Like, nothing. Maybe you could be Bonnie, I guess. So there was Bonnie and there was Annie Oakley. Now, holy moly, like, what's the future going to look like when these daughters now have Diana Mueller's, Cheryl Todd's, fill in the blank with all the other, awesome chicks for 2A that are doing stuff. What's that future going to look like when all those people are fighting for 2A?
Well, and that's what I was talking about. I talked about in that chat is not just Diana and Cheryl and all of them, but some of the young women the DC Project has some young women that are like not look up to role models necessarily, but peers for some other young women out there, because they're more relatable. They're more relatable.
Yeah, but a girl that's like competition shooting, or I guess it's mostly competition shooting, the young ones right now, but who's going to stop them from being a gunsmith or some sort of an artist, artisan carver, or who knows what, pistol smith, whatever. But yeah, I know what you're saying. And again, yeah, they're not, I don't know, the 1 or 2 or few between. There's a whole bunch of them. Plus all the people we're not, all the people we're not mentioning. There's got to be whatever stuff where we're missing that, so we're not trying to hit every single option.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, as far as the conversation yesterday, it was, I don't know, I guess I was just kind of stoked that Diana had not yet been in one of the chats, so she was not sure yet what the project was even all about, which was one of my concerns, right? Because it's not it's tough to describe still. I mean, it's not a normal thing that people have done before, so I can say, oh, it's like we're doing, a blue version of that red thing over there. So she wasn't sure if like I was selling the patches and giving it to her. So she was getting some of the details kind of ironed out, which again, in my email, I know what I'm saying, but it doesn't mean whoever's reading my long ass email knows what I'm trying to get across. So words are worth a million. Yeah, I don't know. Pictures are worth a million words. I don't know what the hell words are worth a billion, letters or emails. So it was just real fast, real efficient to get some of that across. Well, now they're just saying girls. I'm saying 2A women. Eleanor Roosevelt, yes, because she was carrying around a CCW revolver instead of having Secret Service agents.
Right.
Back when she was second, or I don't think it was when she was actually first lady, but when he was done being president, and they just keep them all with Secret Service, she was like, no, I'll just keep a 38. So she's pretty cool. I don't know, did Amelia Earhart have guns? She may have, I just don't know. But Angie Dickinson, wait, no, I don't know what you're saying. Babe, something athlete?
I don't have a clue. I don't know.
Well, shooting sport athlete, I don't know them for sure. And Farrah Fawcett, I think you're just picking chicks that jump around. Mother Teresa, no, we're talking 2A, Second Amendment ladies.
It's weird. Lord.
It is middle of the night on a Friday. But yeah, we were about to shut it down, and a dude jumped in from Ohio. Don't remember his name because he hasn't jumped in ever before. I'm scrolling back up. Chad jumped in. That's pretty cool. Thanks for jumping in if he's still out there. I don't think I'd ever seen. Did you see Chad's icon out there before?
No, I didn't. I haven't recognized it. But I drop over here occasionally, and I'm listening while I'm doing other stuff. And there's several that I haven't seen that. A lot of regulars that drop by, regulars for the show. It's been going on so long, but like DJ Play Nice, him, Chad out there. I'm scrolling through the chat now. Yeah, that's a couple that I don't guess I've seen over here.
Right on. So yeah, DJ played on for a while.
Yeah, I got a feeling that was back in the day and time when it was the norm. It wasn't taboo at all. So it would not surprise me.
And you just didn't go around saying about it. Like you didn't go around saying that you were wearing socks either. It's like, I don't go around saying I'm wearing a t-shirt. I just wear a t-shirt. Like whatever. I'm wearing a gun.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm wearing a belt or something. Like you don't talk about your knife either, unless you're a knife guy and you're like, proud of your knife. And yeah, you might talk about it, but otherwise, you're not talking about your keys or your wallet. So I always say, they made millions of the pocket Brownings, and that wasn't all going to cops. That wasn't all going to the military. That was going into grandma's aprons and the grandpa's pocket. And if you look at all of them, they all got pocket wear. Very few of those anymore have all their blue in.
Right. Oh, man. Oh.
So did I send you a 50 states? I sent out now that I got this printer, I got a laser color lasers, I should say.
Nice.
As opposed to liquid, you got toner.
Mm-hmm.
And I never wanted to fork out the money because I'm cheap, but it's killing me to not be able to print a color draft, and I'm trying to make a book or whatever with all the color that's in them. I use color text to denote things sometimes. So It's just driving me nuts with black and white drafts all the time.
Sure.
So anyway, I figured I'd bite the bullet. Bought what the hell is it? Xerox.
Yeah.
For $200. And then the next question was whether or not the toners would work. So anyway, I printed out a bunch of books and figured out that it should work. So I'm not too, like the last time I bought a color printer for $44, I printed out I forget how many, 4 versions of the almanac.
Right.
And I was like, this is going to take, at first it was costing $6 or more, even with the ink. And plus it was just taking forever. I'd have to spend just way too much time refilling the thing. Almost after every book, you got to refill one of the colors. And then there's a potential for the thing to just spaz out and spill ink everywhere. And then you clean all that up and then you print one book, 16 pages. I mean, it's not insignificant, but still you'd refill in it. So anyway, it was just getting to be too tedious. So with the toner, it definitely works a lot longer. So I printed out enough books that, tested the toner or what, but now I'm pretty confident that I can print books whenever I want. Anyway, so I sent some of that first set out to people to get some feedback on it. Basically, I accumulated data, right? And then put it in you've seen the almanac though, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically like that data from the almanac, except since the world's crazy, instead of, everything's getting canceled and shit. It just was not the year to do an almanac. It was impossible to do it in a calendar centric format. So I did it in a state centric. So I kind of reshuffled all the data into a state version.
Nice.
But my concern is a couple of things. Like, it's data overload for sure, but it's also designed to be like one of those books that you'd get as a reference that's just nothing but cheat sheet. Like, it's just all data, and you don't need to know what the formula does. It just reminds you the formula. Like, you already know what the formula does, but it reminds you what the formula is. So it's that kind of book. And really, me, like yourself, I'm trying to think of like content creators who are doing something. If you want to do like a quiz or something and you need to know the answer to something, sometimes it's easier to flip through a book than it is to try to find it on some damn website with bad internet or something. So just, kind of thinking of how it can be useful. Plus, for somebody that's going to pick it up, I'm not the kind of person that can pick up a book of words, read it.
Right.
I can't have to. Like, I'm tasked with it. And be able to do it, but I don't do that as recreation. So, for me, it's like the kind of book you can pick up and just kind of the equivalent of browse, I guess is the word, equivalent of just like roll your eyes around if you're absorbing it or not. I was going to say, like, kind of watching, just kind of looking at a movie without really watching it. Anyhow, so I'll send you a copy and just to give me some feedback on if it's, if the format is useful, and then of course accuracy, because there's so much data dump in there that even if I thought I had it right and I got it mixed up, I might have just something stupid like 1814 instead of 1914 somewhere,
right?
Or just backwards, like the information for that is over there instead of here, and then I could just be wrong, like this isn't, and that's where. In a state-centric format, I'd like to get somebody from each state to take a look. Now, I've posted it electronically also, but I'm sending it to people that are interested. Like Crump's out there, I gave him one because it's just easier or you can get more out of it, I think, when you're flipping pages as opposed to scrolling through, the feed on a long PDF or whatever.
Right.
But anyway, so I'm taking that data now and shoving it into a timeline again. So instead of a calendar like an almanac, the next year or this year, like an almanac is 1 year at a time, and looks at like the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This will be starting with the Second Amendment and ending today. So it's, I would say, a page per year, but obviously that would be a 1,000,000-page book. But for every major thing that goes on, the 68 Gun Control Act, the 74, the 94, all these different things, each of them gets a page. And then I started distributing all this data in there because that's kind of, to me, that's ultimately interesting. It makes me understand better to like thumb through there and go, okay, so the 68 happened, and then look at all these gun companies that got created, and then, okay, this happened, and then, wow, look at all these organizations, or look, this gun was invented because that company, like, for example, the 50 BMG stuff, like 50 BMG's old caliber, but almost nothing was done with it until Barrett decided to create a gun in like the 80s or something, right? And then all of a sudden there's stuff happening with the 50 BMG. Right. So that happens throughout time, until like the lever action was invented, there wasn't a lever action. So anyway, I'm working on that project now, and I'm curious on the 50 state one for some feedback. So if you don't mind, I'll throw you a one in there whenever I send all the patches.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, so we've been going for 2 hours, and we start this thing at midnight. I don't know how Crump is still up. That guy owes me $3. No, $4. So here's the story of Crump owing me $4. So I go to the mailbox place the other day, and they tell me that I owe him $4, $3.50. I'm going to start saying $4. So then I'm like, all right, for what? And they go, oh, here's the sheet from the post office, and it says gun websites, and then return address, none. And I go, I'm not going to pay you $4 for junk mail. Like, is this some stupid catalog or something? What is this? And they go, I don't know. This is all they gave me. So I'm like, all right. So they give me this little piece of paper, and I go on my way. And then I call back, and I'm like, so what's going on with that thing? What was it? Because this is the day and age of like telephones with cameras on them. You can take a picture of something, right? Oh, well, we don't have the form, so blah, blah, blah. Long story short, go to the post office. All right, so I'm watching the map. Here's how you go to the post office. You go on your phone on your map. Oh, okay, I guess I have to shut up. Damn. You go on the phone on the map, and then you just wait for the map to tell you that it's not busy. Have you ever done that? Google Maps, at least, will tell you if a place is busy or not.
Yeah.
Or at least like how busy it is compared to normal. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, there's actually something that I figured, it might be this, and it would be extremely rude of me to not accept this for $3, right?
Right.
So I'm like, because normally I'm like, you're sending me a catalog for $3 with no return address. Keep your catalog, right? Like, because I get a lot of catalogs, paper supplies or some dumb thing that I don't even want. So janitorial supplies, do you ever get that? Because you own a business, you get janitorial
Oh,
supplies.
Uline. I get those.
Yeah, Uline,
Yep.
envelope. So, and those are the kind of places that are like, oh yeah, you didn't want our 700-page paper catalog, like that costs $4 to ship. So anyway, I go to the mailbox place or the post office. I wait forever. Our mailbox, our post office has two lines: lines for getting stamps, lines for picking up packages. I get in lines for picking up packages. And I'm sitting there for like an hour, 2 hours, however long it takes. And the other line, now I got there and some lady came in without a mask and she goes, "Oh, I forgot my mask." And I go, "I wasn't going to say nothing. You can, I don't care." She goes, "They'll care. I have to go out." So she goes all the way back to her car, gets her mask, goes all the way back in. We're sitting there again. I was like, I wasn't going to say nothing. And then, so we're chatting a little bit. And then she says something. Oh, the guy up at the front goes, "You got a package?" And then, so in other words, the next person can walk away the hell over by him, because for being in line or whatever. So she says, "Oh, I'm just getting stamps." And I go, "Oh, ma'am, the stamp line is over there and it's going faster than this line." She's like, "Oh, thanks." So I knew, because I had talked to her. That's otherwise I wouldn't have known. But I knew who she was, right? I'm waiting. 2 hours, 3 hours go by. I don't even know anymore, right? My phone batteries are dead. I'm scared for the dog, right? The heat and everything. So this lady goes through the whole post office or whatever. She comes out and she laughs at me, ha 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 ha, because I'm still waiting in line. And I'm like, dang it, I should have gotten the right line, or I should have gone in the other line. And I know by now, as soon as I get up to, and this is the guy who's like, everybody else has got the equipment and the machines and the cash registers and the other line. This is the guy who's just at the half door next to the post office boxes, and he's just handing people boxes. And I don't know this until like 2 hours later when I'm in the middle of this line. And I know as soon as I get up there, he's going to go, "You need to be in the other line." I just know it because I got to pay $4, right? So I get up there and I give him the thing. But I'm also a dick. I'm in a post office and I'm not happy about wearing a mask. So I'm not exactly Mr. Sunshine. Imagine me not being Mr. Sunshine.
Right.
So then he goes, whatever, blah, blah, blah. "You got to go over here." And there's like one lady who I do not like at this post office from back in the day. And she's always in the one spot. And that's the reason I don't go to the post office, because there's one lady. And you know what he says? "You got money on this one. I got to go find this. And then I'm going to take it to this spot." And you know who's sitting in that spot. So now I got to go into the main place, follow the whole other set of rules, because there's a whole set of rules if you go in there. Like the post office and like rules, like they're digging it, right? You got to stand over here. You got to jump like this. You got to do this. You got to hold your wallet at this angle. Holy crap. So anyway, long story short, another couple of 45 minutes, an hour later. And then I pay the $5. And what do I get? A one number 10 envelope. That's a regular envelope for all you regular people. It's a regular old envelope. Just a regular old envelope, barely licked on the back. One stamp. And it says gun websites and everything nicely. One stamp, no return address. I've got this all in video. I've got video evidence for all of this. And then there's like, somebody went nuts. Like if a little kid was mad on a bus with a marker, somebody just scribbled the shit out of this envelope. Basically equivalent in post office speak, saying I owe $3.50 on this. So I can understand everybody, honestly. Like, what is this thing? And it's like, imagine if a snake ate a buffalo, or like a whole Volkswagen car. Right. So it's like a little thin envelope with this giant, like, I don't know how he jammed so much stuff into the middle of the envelope, and then it goes back to being a narrow envelope again. So it looks like a snake ate something. So everybody's like, I don't know if there's a bomb or some sort of, right, retaliatory sending. Like, we have nowhere to send this. So either you're going to accept it or we got to throw it away because there's nothing else you could do with it. And so I pay the $3 and I'm like, dang it, this is going to, because I, every once in a while on the mail call Mondays, I'll be like, you send it and I open it. And I'm thinking, oh, somebody sent me a bag of poop or something. Dang it, I paid $4 for it, right?
Right.
Yeah, I go home. Yeah, and Crump sends me like 100 patches with one stamp on it. But I'm amazed that it didn't destroy it because I told you my stories with a regular envelope and patches.
Oh, yeah, I don't do that.
That's why I do my whole like origami shit in the inside. But yeah, I guess what happened is it was so thick that it never went through any machine. Like even their machines knew they couldn't smush this thing.
Right.
So anyway, I guess he gave me $5, so I have to quit bitching about it. And he gave me a shit ton extra free patches. But yeah, I was like, and for a while there, I was like, dang it, I just paid $4 for a bag of poop or something. Like I know this is some kind of scam. But then it turned out to be a bunch of patches.
Right.
So anyway, I'm doing my Patreon swap meet thing, and I just divvied those patches straight out to Patreon. So I appreciate it. They're the no
quarter.
No quarter for tyrants. Dang, why can't I speak tonight? But yeah, there's pretty cool. I appreciate it. You gave me a chance to give my post office speech. So I'm not going to go to the post office again if I can help it for a little while because I was definitely acted like a douchebag for no reason today.
Right.
But whatever. I also needed. I felt like if you don't go out and protest against the masks every once in a while, then they feel like everybody's okay with the masks. So they need to have somebody go around and be a dick, right?
Yeah.
No, I do appreciate it though, and like I say, a whole bunch of Patreons will get free patches now.
Cool.
Have you thought about what you're going to do with 200 of those things?
Not yet.
Man, I don't even know. I mean,
yeah,
that's a lot.
I've still got a few of the shotguns from last year left. I've still got my round ones. Still got a few of those left. I'm going to revamp the store. It'll give me the opportunity to revamp my store for sure. I believe it was Guns and Barbecue was going to get some stuff, and I had to go in and create a discount code because I give a discount obviously for Patreon people, but it's by tier. So, and I do an individual, if I know somebody's going to buy from there, I'll give them an individual code they can use. So yeah, just give me the opportunity to revamp some of that stuff and whatnot.
I'm thinking with 200, you might, because I was thinking that's one of the things we started chatting about with Charlie is, what to do with this stuff. And because he's got other stuff he's working on too. Mm-hmm. He's trying to, everybody doesn't know, Charlie is riding shotgun with Charlie's. His concept is interviewing mostly 2A activists and whatnot, but everybody in the gun communities for sure. And interviews him while driving. So he'll have, I think there's some other show out there that I'm probably not referencing that, they have the cameras up on the dashboard pointing back towards the car and multiple cameras, and he'll edit between them. So it's flawless, but it's not just one camera the whole time.
Yeah. It's, you've got, he kind of tailored his off of Carpool Karaoke, but then there's also, getting coffee with comedians. I think Jerry Seinfeld's are doing that now. It's called Getting Coffee with Comedians.
Are these like TV shows or are these like YouTube, like online? What do you call them?
I think it's. Show? I think I don't know. I'd be lying if I told you.
Because there's also those kind of things where they'll do that and then stick it into like a morning show or something as a segment. So there's I don't know if where that because I don't watch it. So but I know he came off as something like he got the idea. So I don't want to suggest that he's copying because nobody else in the gun community is doing that. So that's pretty neat. Plus the focus. I mean, anybody could do that and talk to like, I don't know. I mean, you could talk to competition shooters that way and people would watch it and probably get good views. You could talk to manufacturers or, something else and probably get views. He's focusing on Second Amendment advocates though. So that's pretty neat. And maybe training a little bit, would be his other focus. Maybe, I don't know if that's intentional or not, But anyway, so his project's pretty neat. He'll go to different events and then use that as an opportunity to film or to whatever, create these conversations.
Right.
Now I haven't really paid attention, but, and this is like, again, really, I mean, I've known Charlie for a while now, but having a chance to trap him in a room when he's not looking and then mansplain the shit out of him. I haven't had that opportunity before. So I don't know when he records, like when he went to gun rights policy, did he ration those things out to be once a week, or did they just go and like all of his videos came out as soon as he produced them? I don't.
Yeah, he didn't ration. I mean, there was a little bit of delay, but not much.
I felt like I had forgot to mansplain something, so that might have been it. But so Charlie's doing it, but he's also, he's not like one of these guys that, checks out 8 different ways to do something, decides 4 different ways might work for him, and then tries one way, but evaluates that 2 other ways might have worked too. Like he's not really putting that kind of thought into the whole thing. He's just doing it. So anyway, it was a great opportunity to chat with him a little bit about that. Shit, what did I get started explaining about Charlie for? I was explaining about Charlie for people that might have been listening to this who don't know who Charlie was, but we started talking about Charlie. Hey, well, that's what happens when it's late and you attempt to cater to the audience. I should have just been talking. I don't do that though, is stop and explain shit very often in my shows. I mean, I do if it's like a primetime interview or something. I try to think about a new person listening to all this, but pretty often in this show, I just assume everybody's up to speed, especially with 6 people watching. I figure nobody's watching this who's new, and if they are, they're interested in like taking big bites. They're not looking for a lot of footnotes.
All right.
They're gonna have to figure stuff out. Well, here, if you got a minute, I'm gonna turn it off, and I can chat with you secrets about Charlie. We can talk about other secrets while you got a couple minutes if you're still awake, and then everybody else out there can go pound sand. We've been live for 2 hours. Apologize to Crump and the others who are live out here, but anybody who's listening to us after the fact, you don't care when I cut us off. But yeah, thanks everybody. I have to cut it off in 2 hours, otherwise I end up chatting for 4 hours and I lose like all my productive work time. So as much as it's fun sometimes chatting for 4 hours, it's just I can't keep doing it. Yep. Anyway, so thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back. Oh, did you want to plug anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay, we'll see you next time.